What's good, everyone, and welcome back to another reaction video. Today we're reacting to Food Theory, The Downfall of Krispy Kreme. And for those that don't know what Krispy Kreme is, I would be surprised. I'm hoping that's not the case. Well, maybe for those that are outside the country of North America and all that, or the continent. Because I don't know if Krispy Kreme's in Canada or Mexico. Basically, the US. If you're not there, then I guess that makes sense, I guess. Because I don't know about location, in all honesty. Anyway, back to the main point, though. We're gonna see the downfall of Krispy Kreme. Now, I never heard of this, but then again, I don't really go to Krispy Kremes all that often. I more or less go to, well, Dunkin', because honestly, I'm a Dunkin' guy. And for the sake of clarity, in the comment section below, tell me your favorite donut place to go to, in all honesty. Because, yeah, I'm really curious for those that are Dunkin' fans, Krispy Kreme fans, or other locations that have donuts. Because there are some places that actually have a more fluffier donut and mixed with whatever type of donut you want. Like, let's say, chocolate or vanilla or anything like that. Honestly, I'm a glazed guy. I like glazed donuts. But yeah, I think you get the point. But yeah, I think I made my point clear. Anyway, tell me what you think in the comment section below on what. Actually, just tell me what is your favorite donut place in the comments section. And along with that, if there's any videos you'd like to recommend that I should react to, go ahead and put that in the comment section below, and I'll react to it as soon as possible. So let's get right into this. But before that, like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Notification button to be notified immediately when a new video comes out. The link to this video is going to be down in the description below, so be sure to give Food Theory some love and support for the video that they made. And yes, now with this all said, let's actually get right into this video.
Krispy Kreme used to be the gold standard for donuts. It was the highlight.
Really?
Birthday parties, office gatherings, and my lonely Wednesday nights. But today, oof,
Fair.
They're not doing so hot. Not only is their reputation a dozen deep in the trash, but reportedly the company is in a financial tailspin, owing well over $1 billion in debt.
Wait,
so
really?
I've gotta ask, who killed Krispy Kreme? Hello, Internet! Welcome to Food Theory, where we only glaze the grates. And unfortunately...
Wait, do you mean like company-wise? Who in the company? Or are we talking about a different brand that does donuts that essentially literally made them become a bit obsolete? Hard to say, in all honesty.
Krispy Kreme ain't one of them. Maybe 20 years ago they were, but sadly, that's not the case anymore. For those of you who've never had the real deal, Krispy Kreme is a southern-born donut franchise that people fondly remember primarily for their Hot Light stores. They do still exist, but they're a much rarer sight these days. What's so great about the Hot Light stores, you ask? Well, you can pull up to one of these bad boys and watch literal dozens upon dozens of donuts get made from scratch with huge factory equipment. Not only that, you get a free one. They're like the hometown donut version of getting a golden ticket to Wonka's factory, minus the child torture to Preachy Polka. By now, you may know that I'm not much of a sweets guy, but wait! Do I love Krispy Kreme donuts? They're the perfect texture, perfect flavor, just Actually, I remember on my 24th birthday, I got 2 dozen donuts instead of a cake, piled them high like a pyramid, and chowed the F down. Seriously, they might actually be halos sourced straight from the heads of cherubs. They're that good. But honestly, I can't remember the last time I've seen a Krispy Kreme store in person. Now, when I come by Krispy Kreme donuts, they're overpriced impulse purchase bait looming near the grocery checkout. Just boxes and boxes of stale pastries, praying that someone will have a moment of weakness so they can be put out of their starchy misery. It's not just their quality that's taken a nosedive either. Their company is swimming in debt. Last year, they lost $488 million, and that was just the first 9 months. In total, they've been struggling to get a debt of $1 billion under control, causing them to recently break up with McDonald's and to sell off their entire operation in Japan for $65 million.
Oh, so they are in
Damage
Japan.
like that really makes you wonder what happened. Turns out, categorical failure is nothing new for Krispy Kreme. They've had near-death experiences before, but part of me thinks this one might be it, unless they do something drastic. Honestly, it might even be too late. The brand has been a dead man walking for decades, and it feels like death has finally caught up. The story of Krispy Kreme starts back in the Great Depression of the 1930s.
Wait,
just
really?
off of the Ohio River in Paducah, Kentucky.
Wait, hold on. It goes all the way back then? Huh. That's actually pretty impressive in all honesty. To hear that something like that has been around for such a long time, it is actually really impressive. Gotta give respect to them for going that far.
Working on an Army Corps barge was a talented cook from New Orleans, Joe LaBeouf. No relation to Shia LaBeouf, don't worry, I double checked. LaBeouf was famous around town for 3 dishes: flapjacks, coconut cakes, and donuts. In 1933, LaBeouf shared his celebrated donut recipe with a grocery store owner named Ishmael Armstrong, who then passed down the recipe to his nephews, Vernon and Louis Rudolph. Obviously, you can see where this is going. That recipe would evolve into Krispy Kreme's heavily guarded secret recipe. But what's crazy to me is that LaBeouf lived until 1999 without knowing that his recipe inspired a wildly successful chain. According to his widow, he was happy to share his recipes, but that couldn't be me. I don't care if you can't copyright recipes. You better pay up or put my name in the title. Yeah, we'll workshop it. To be fair to the Rudolphs, though, LaBeouf's original recipe likely was altered because apparently it contained mashed friggin' potatoes. Not gonna lie, curious, but yeah, miss me with that. Anyway, nephews Vernon and Louis took the recipe to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and opened Krispy Kreme in 1937. Their plan was to sell his donuts to local grocery stores, but when they were baking, the smell attracted locals to their door like Looney Tunes to a fresh pie. Seeing an opportunity, Vernon also went full cartoon character and sawed a hole in the wall to create a sales window where they could sell fresh donuts directly to the customers. Back then, a dozen cost a quarter. You know, the good old days. This turned Krispy Kreme into the hottest.
Yeah, I'll admit that was the day. That was the times. From what I heard from my grandparents, in all honesty. Honestly, the prices weren't bad compared to now. Like, in all honesty, you could just literally go to places and bam, the prices were actually really reasonable. And, well, for us. But, yeah, that's actually really it. It's an insane thing, in all honesty, to realize how things were back then to now. I could see people of right now being jealous of those prices, in all honesty. Because if I remember correctly, you get a whole pizza for like a few bucks. Insane, right?
in Salem, and soon enough, lines were wrapping around the block as customers lined up by the dozen. Not only did their sales window spread the alluring but it also gave locals a look into the inner workings of the kitchen. As Krispy Kreme grew into a franchise, this inspired donut theaters, locations where visitors could watch the proprietary donut machines mass produce and glaze donuts. In 1977, a franchisee in Chattanooga, Tennessee, reinvented the dough wheel once more by putting up a neon "Hot Donuts Now" sign, which immediately increased sales by 60%. It was such a success that the signage was adopted across the brand in 1982 and brought about the flagship Hot Light stores. These neon signs basically created a Pavlovian response to donut fans across the southeastern US. As part of these donut theaters, franchisees would often hand out free donuts as samples while their customers waited for oven-fresh orders. But this is where the seeds to its downfall were planted, right in its success. For a long time, they were crushing it. The sweet scents, the neon signs, the intricate production lines, and the remarkable taste for cheap made Krispy Kreme more than just a donut shop. It was an experience. This distinct brand identity gave Krispy Kreme the widespread word of mouth that would lead to the massive expansions in the 90s and early 2000s. By 1996, Krispy Kreme had made it to the Big Apple, and by 1999, they had graced the West Coast in sunny Los Angeles. In April of 2000, the brand went public on the NASDAQ and became a breakout star nationwide. Within 4 years, revenue went from $220 million to $665 million. The stock rose ninefold, and Fortune magazine was calling them the hottest brand in America. But that was short-lived. In 2005, investors realized that the company was full of holes, just like their donuts. But unlike their donuts, it only took two major ingredients to spell doom. The first ingredient in the recipe for their future disaster? They grew too fast and broke their own stores. While expansion is usually a good thing, in reality, Krispy Kreme's rapid expansion was a key factor in its financial woes. The donuts behind the donuts didn't effectively do market research, so they put too many stores in competing areas while missing other markets entirely. This, coupled with the fact that corporate required franchisees to pay inordinate royalties and fees for machinery and donut mix, meant that numerous locations were struggling to turn a profit. They also killed what once made Krispy Kreme so unique by expanding distribution to grocery stores, mall kiosks, and gas stations. All places that didn't benefit from the signature hot, fresh, and aromatic reputation that made the Hot Light locations such a hit. Like their donuts, they came out hot, but quickly got stale as they oversaturated the market with diluted quality. Ingredient 2 came in the form of something else they were cooking: their books. In 2004, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, aka the SEC, started to investigate Krispy Kreme for not just fudging its donuts, but its numbers too. Ultimately, they found that the CEO, Scott Livingood, had been living a little too good and was misrepresenting earnings to investors, and claimed a profit of $8.5 million more than what Krispy Kreme actually earned. One of the main ways Livingood's regime cooked the books was through a technique called channel stuffing, where franchisees were instructed to order more product than they were expected to sell so that they could inflate the numbers on the corporate level. One Ohio manager testified that he was asked to double his order on the last day of the 2004 financial year. Not only did word of this fraud harm Krispy Kreme's reputation, but it also showed that America's love affair with the donut was coming to an end. By the end of 2005, Krispy Kreme's stock value had plummeted 75%. That is catastrophic, and forced the brand to close numerous stores. But even that didn't help. Year after year, revenue loss continued. Initially, Livingood blamed Americans taking up the low-carb Atkins diet for the 2004 donut slump. But analysts were quick to point out that their competitor, Dunkin' Donuts, didn't suffer the same losses. Still, Krispy Kreme persevered. They cut down to just their most profitable stores and took their Hot Light store global, focusing once more on quality and their unique brand identity. In 2016, they were bought out by a German investment firm called JAB for $1.35 billion. JAB invested heavily in expanding Krispy Kreme once more, additionally acquiring a majority stake in the rising cookie brand Insomnia Cookies to help Krispy Kreme get a handle on digital dessert delivery services. Part of their big comeback included putting a Hot Light store in the center of Times Square. But unfortunately, COVID hit, and they had to open it during the pandemic. Surprisingly though, 2020 brought brought record sales of $1.1 billion to the company. And
Wait,
yet
really?
they still lost $60 million due to complications and operating costs. This put Krispy Kreme at $1.5 billion in debt in 2020. And spoilers, it gets worse. And this is also where everything comes full circle, because Krispy Kreme didn't just repeat their past mistakes, they doubled down on them. In an attempt to climb out of the most delicious money pit in history, JAB has had to reach out for help. Over the past few years, Krispy Kreme has struck deals with Target, Walmart, and McDonald's to distribute donuts at their locations. Yeah, they've returned to the very same high-volume, low-quality strategy that killed the brand in the 2000s. Only now, their prices aren't even that attractive, with a dozen donuts costing between $16 and $20. It didn't work then, and it's not working now either. Originally, when Krispy Kreme teamed up with Ronald, the plan was to deliver fresh donuts to all McDonald's locations by the end of 2026. But last year, it became incredibly apparent that this collaboration wasn't going to work. At the start of 2025, Krispy reported a record.
Okay, so the reason why things are going bad, it was technically due to a few things. One being that they keep doing the same mistake from what I'm hearing. Another is location branding. Instead of like allowing they've been expanding rapidly instead of just in multiple locations, instead of taking more priority into where they should put a location to increase revenue and such. So, yeah. And then before COVID hit, they did the same thing, and delivery was going a bit bad thanks to what happened to COVID, and they had to get and they have issues because people aren't coming because of COVID and so on and so forth. Which led to what's happening here.
Per debt of $1.8 billion. For context, that's $200 million more than Taylor Swift's net worth, both numbers which are mind-boggling for their own reasons. According to Krispy Kreme, this further dip into the red was in part due to the operation costs of stocking McDonald's with fresh donuts daily outweighing the market demand. Can you imagine a more embarrassing thing than having to break up with a clown because you are too poor to roll with them? I can. It's the fact that the clown's response amounted to, "Hey, this worked about as well as I expected." Who knew Ronald McDonald was such a boy? Since the split, Krispy Kreme has been selling off overseas
I did not
assets like
expect to
its
hear that.
operations in Japan, bringing its debt down to a more manageable $900 million. And while that is a sizable dent, there's still a long way to go for Krispy Kreme to become profitable again. And honestly, even in the best case scenario, it might be too little too late. Let me explain. Obviously, in an ideal world, Krispy Kreme's path to profitability involves touching back with its roots and putting quality over quantity. But that's easier said than done. See, the whole reason Krispy Kreme had to go back to distributing to grocery stores and McDonald's is that at scale, donuts are bad business. The margins for profit are razor thin. Sure, the ingredients are relatively cheap, but Krispy Kreme donuts are made with expensive equipment, and the product goes stale in a matter of hours, meaning a significant amount of product doesn't get sold. According to employee accounts on social media sites like Reddit, Krispy Kreme throws out multiple garbage bags worth of donuts a day. This is bad across the board for all donut shops, like Dunkin' too, but the donut theater aspect of Hot Light stores magnifies the waste, because hordes of donuts on the assembly line are part of the show. Customers are also conditioned to think of donuts, especially the generic glaze that Krispy Kreme is known for, as cheap treats, which makes price hikes hard to stomach and justify. Then you have to consider that donuts are primarily eaten for breakfast. According to a 2013 Krispy Kreme report, a majority of donut sales are made within the hours of 6 to 11 a.m.
Yeah, I have to say that's about right. I would more likely get a donut around the morning or sometime late at night than I would around let's say 11 to 2 or to like maybe 4. I'd probably get one like after 6 or around 6 o'clock to after. But other than that, not really anywhere else or any time else. But yeah, other than that, not really something I would go out of my way and getting
During the morning rush.
in,
But mind you, this was
in
before the
in those meal
pandemic.
times.
Now, with work from home being more common, fewer people are stopping into Hot Light stores to get a reprieve from their morning commute, meaning the market for in-store sales is drying up. All these factors stack up on each other, and for Krispy Kreme to turn a profit, they need to sell a ridiculous amount of donuts, and unfortunately, donuts aren't a product people are seeking out. A recent shopping survey reported that 51% of pastries are bought on impulse. That's why you may have seen Krispy Kreme return to the supermarket checkout. Donuts are all a numbers game, so Krispy Kreme has to make its donuts as visible and accessible as possible and hope that the sales offset the increased costs of daily deliveries. Ultimately, all of this gambling is due to Krispy's biggest mistake, not pivoting away from donuts 20 years ago. There's a reason why Dunkin' Donuts dropped the donuts in their name. As tasty as they can be, they're not the moneymaker. Coffee is. Remember how analysts noted that Dunkin' wasn't suffering the same loss of sales as Krispy in the mid-2000s? Well, that's because their consumer base wasn't coming to them for donuts. They were coming for coffee. Coffee is a daily habit, and people are dependent on it to get out of bed and function. Like it or not, parts of the world do run on Dunkin'. If Dunkin' disappeared overnight, I'm pretty sure Boston would go full Mad Max, and that wouldn't be because of the donuts. From a business perspective, coffee isn't just better because it's addictive, though. It also has fantastic margins and requires cheaper equipment. It's also a bigger draw for customers in the afternoon than donuts alone. But while you're there picking up your mocha, cappuccino, frappa, whatever, you can also get a donut, or 2, or 3. Don't get me wrong, Krispy Kreme does have coffee on their menu, and they've even tried to recently promote it with the celebrity endorsement of everyone's second favorite Jonas Brother? Really? In the year of 2026? The point is, no one associates Krispy Kreme with coffee like they do Dunkin' or Starbucks or Tim Hortons. While we're on the subject of missed opportunities, can you believe that Krispy Kreme only started offering donut holes on their menu in 2024?
Wait, what? Whoa, 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 whoa. Only then. That's... Are you serious? That is a... That... What? That's a complete waste right there. Like, that was out for, like, a bunch of donut places years before then. Like, I can remember seeing some around 2016. If that's the time it was made, maybe. But I remember seeing 1 or 2 places doing that at 2016. So, they hear that. What the frick? Are you serious? Why would you... Okay, calm down. That is an actual complete waste. Honestly, if they should have done that around the same time everyone else was doing it, because that would have saved them a lot of grief and all that. Because, like, in all honesty, that is something that feels like it should have been out already.
The donut place. That's like the easiest layup ever. Tragically,
Exactly.
I don't think Krispy Kreme can truly course correct by becoming a coffee place this late in the game. TikTok trends have made sure that the drink space is more cutthroat than it's ever been, with newcomers Swigs and Dutch Bros wooing Gen Z, while Dunkin' and Starbucks remain reliable heavy hitters. So, is it curtains for the once best donut place in the world, or is there something they can do to survive? Maybe. Instead of looking at replicating coffee brands like Dunkin', Krispy needs to set their sights on becoming a better dessert brand. They need to become the donut version of Crumble and the national version of Voodoo Donuts. ASAP. Krispy Kreme has always succeeded when the donuts are eaten fresh, meaning they need to start focusing on getting foot traffic back into their Hot Light stores. A large factor in Crumble's early success was in part due to their limited edition weekly rotating flavors, which drove customers to drop in weekly. Likewise, in the 2010s, Voodoo Donut became the luxury donut darling thanks to their outrageous flavors and names, which we will not show uncensored on screen. But they continue to draw customers just on the basis of seeing which wacky options are available. Krispy Kreme needs to follow suit and create recurring reasons for donut lovers to pop into the shop and fall under their classic smell spell. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory! Buen provecho. And hey.
So, my understanding of this whole thing. Things were turning out well at the beginning, the very start, but in due process, it came down to the fact that they were more or less throwing their locations at random parts and places instead of heavily focused places. Leading to we know today as them falling into like this big thing of debt. Because let's be honest, let's just call it what it is. Because there's no nice way of putting it. That is literally what's happening here. But it is surprising to hear some of the stuff that they didn't really capitalize on. Like, it's weird hearing that they never made the donut holes until, like, let's see, like 2 years ago. And that's if they started around the beginning of 2024. If that's what they said. Honestly, the fact that they didn't do it is more shocking to me. That the fact that it took this long for them to even do that. Like, it is insane. But yeah, I can agree with the methods that they're providing on how how Krispy Kreme can do something about saving their businesses and all that. Because, well, if Krispy Kreme is mainly a donut place, then they really need to go all out with the coffee brands and all that, or just go into straight desserts. Because that seems like the only way that they can actually keep going and actually get people to come to their place. It's either that or go into the breakfast route or something like Starbucks. But yeah. And putting it that way, it does make sense. Because when thinking about the other places, they do have a theme that they stick to. Sure, they have other stuff that's good too, but they mainly focus on their craft. Their craft. Like Starbucks with coffee, Dunkin' with their own coffee or unique drinks, like, and all that, because they have various drinks and they focus mainly on that. Sure, they have donuts and sometimes other stuff, but it's the drinks that mainly get people's attention. And the same could be said about other places where they focus on either their drinks or their certain types of food and all that. So yeah, it makes sense on how they can keep going after that uh and still be on top after if they focus on a single thing instead of just donuts. Because yeah, donuts are essentially just going to be a breakfast thing or a late night thing. That's it really. But yeah. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you do enjoyed it. If you did enjoy this video, hit the notification button to be notified immediately when the video comes out. And like I said in the beginning, if there's any no, not that part. Go ahead and tell me what your favorite place to get donuts are from. Honestly, I like Dunkin' more because I prefer the drinks there. They're really good. And I usually get a donut just because of association because yeah, they're there. They're in the open. You can't help but admire them while you wait for your drink and go ahead and go like, no, I'll get a donut as well. To think that that type of marketing brand as actually working. Yeah, now I can definitely see why he said what he said. Anyway, again, hope you all enjoy this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.